Welcome to Talk Design. In this particular series for the AIA Austin Homes Tour, which is in October 2024, I have as my guest today, Kevin Alter from Alter Studio. Now, Kevin and his company have created this most beautiful home. It is called City Park Residence. Alter Studio is well known for this work. This is a stunning piece, probably on one of the best sites that you'll ever find in Austin, looking down over the Pennybacker Bridge and all the way to the city. I'm going to get Kevin to take us on a journey through the design, the brief, and the outcomes. And you're going to be able to join us on the tour and walk through this home and feel it as you experience it. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adrian. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, likewise, man. And thank you. We've just had a little chat for everybody who is just listening to us here. We've actually had a little chat about this house so that we can pull out the best of it, because I haven't been lucky enough to feel it yet, but I have been lucky enough to see a lot of pictures and have Kevin take me through. Kevin, let's just kick off with the location and the brief. Tell us about what the client came to you looking for. One of the things I think that happens a lot is people don't necessarily, they'll understand this house because of the view, but they won't necessarily understand this house because of what the client asked for. So what did the client ask for?
Sure. So this was, I mean, every client is unusual. Everyone is special, but this was a, I guess, typically unusual project. And it's very nice to have it on a home store, because we met these clients through a home store we did many years ago, the first time that you and I met, Adrian.
Yep.
For a Constant Springs house, the house that had the tree growing through the middle of it. And they're a lovely retired couple. They have a house in Austin or had a house in Austin on a golf course. They have another house in Colorado, Breckenridge. And they were just on the tour, just looking to enjoy themselves. And they got really infatuated with that house. And the tour is 2 days, and they came several times, and they brought their family, and we talked many times and over those 2 days. And they said, you know, we have this piece of property that's been in the family for a long time, and do you think you could do a modern house there? And we took a look, and it's a pretty fabulous site. But the thing that was so special about this was that they were doing this house really just out of the desire to do something lovely. You know, they didn't need the shelter. Like, they had a perfectly lovely house. But here, they felt like there was an opportunity to do something that would enrich their lives. I mean, I think they hadn't spent a lot of time in modern buildings, and that house on the tour, the Constant Springs house, was pretty special. And they came in and were like, "What? Could we do something like this?" Wow. And then they had this interior motive, which is they have their daughter and son-in-law are in town. They're both musicians, and they have grandchildren now, and they want the house to be a little bit of a honeypot, like the place where people come, and would be a legacy house that would stay in the family. And I think it was like a labor of love, which is the best thing for an architect to do.
Oh, that's a project that's so joyful, because there's so much intention that they're looking for. And it's a special plot of land as well that's been held for a long time. So to do something great with it.
Had a lot of memories, and also, like, knowledge and affection. And, I think architects are always, and one of the things that's so lovely about architecture is it's a fundamentally optimistic field. Like, you get to help people build their dreams and enjoy them and live in ways that were maybe new and unexpected to them. But this one began like that. Like, they really just began with this desire of doing something bold, a special piece of property.
That's fabulous. Well, it's almost like taking, as you say, you're taking a really special piece of land, and then you're honoring that piece of land with something that's like, you could put an art piece on there, which is what you've done, but it's an art piece you live in, as opposed to like a sculpture. And whilst it's fully sculptural, you live within this sculpture and you live within this piece of art, and it's a fully functioning, but goes way beyond. Like, Kevin was telling me that this house, it can hold 100 people for a party kind of thing, or for an event. and we're going to break into some of that as we go. So I'm going to take now us on a walk. Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get Kevin to take us on a walk. And part of the site response here, like because you have this incredible view and you also have the beautiful breezes that this view has by its natural position, and that you're working with where there was an old house to start with. Take us sort of through a little bit of that, how you responded to the site, but maybe take us from the road where on the homes tour, we're going to get out of our cars, park somewhere, out of a bus, whatever it is, and then we're going to start walking down this driveway and towards the house.
Sure. And do you want to do this with a site plan
I
or
reckon chuck the site plan up, yeah, because that would be really cool.
let's see here? Okay, can you see that, Adrian?
100%. Yeah, that's
And
perfect.
the cursor as well. Can you
Yep.
see?
Yep. Can see your cursor, and I'm going to move mine because I'm sure otherwise it'll show up too.
Okay. So, like Adrian was saying, this is on the top of a small hill in Austin, but a very specially placed one where the north is up in this plan, and so the view to the southeast is directly to the city, and you see over that beautiful bridge down the river to the city, and you see the University Tower and the whole city laid out in front of you. And then to the west is this looking down the river in the other direction, but it's a different kind of view. So rolling hills, lots of greenery, and because of the southern exposure, it gets sort of light all day and changes
Yeah.
quite dramatically. So because of the top of the hill and because the breezes in Austin, particularly in the summer when once breezes come from the south southeast, it's very well positioned to get breezes all year round. And there are a number of outside terraces upstairs here and here, and then this sort of bridge piece on the lower level gets the kind of wind kind of whipping through that all the time. In terms of approaching it, one drives down City Park Road, which is the way to get to Avalon Park and the water if you continue. And there's a kind of private little enclave. The family had originally owned, it's a retired couple. Her father, I think, was a developer for this area and owned a lot of property here and sold much of it off. But one individual purchased much of it. It has a very large house, just a little bit
Right.
off the screen that way. And so one comes through a drive and a cul-de-sac that really is just this house and the other, and then continues off the cul-de-sac on the driveway.
So when we're on the tour, we're going to be up on our, sort of northern side of it, and we're going to be coming down a driveway, but we're going to be parked in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, so there's a lot of parking right up here. As you
Yeah,
park in
right.
the you're living here, you would drive further. Guests
Yeah.
might come and park in the circle. The homeowners come and take a detour and pull into the garage over here. But the main entry to the house is here. You take a bridge across, and the front door is there.
And we'll
Um,
be dropping down. So as we come down the driveway, sort of what sort of elevation are we going to be dropping?
oh, not very much. We're sort of at the top of the hill here. We come
Yeah.
up a little bit, and this is the very top.
Uh-huh.
And we're
Oh, right.
more or less the floor, the ground floor is more or less at the same elevation as the top of the
S
hill. So as you walk across the bridge, the ground drops, but you
yes.
stay slightly more than the story above grade,
Gotcha.
probably
Gotcha.
15, 16 feet.
Yeah,
That way.
nice. Nice. Really interesting. So we're going to get out of whatever vehicle we arrive in. We're going to start walking down this driveway. When does the house really start to reveal itself? How far down the driveway will we be?
Just about here, if you make that when you make that turn.
Right. So
Um,
as you come round the corner of the driveway, then the house will reveal itself, and you'll still be on the driveway, but headed towards you're almost due south, I suppose, at that point. And yeah, and then the house is like a big horseshoe shaped home that
it
is
is.
back towards you though. The you're walking into the middle of the horseshoe.
You are. And it appears very modestly as a one-story house. I mean, it's a big piece of property. It's a beautiful part of town. One would expect something a little more, well, a real estate agent might say with more curb appeal, like more
Yep.
grand.
Yep.
But it exposes itself modestly. You get a view here, and then typically you might, if you're visiting, you might park your car here and walk across the bridge
Right.
this way. And then it really starts to expose itself. You kind of pull into the courtyard, the sort of tail of the building comes out as a
Yeah,
stone wall to kind of invite you in. And you get this view through the house because it's floor to ceiling glass at the same
on
level
both
that you're,
sides. Yeah.
and the bridge is perfectly horizontal. So you come in right at grade and you see through the house. But as you get closer to the house, you start to lose the view, only to be reintroduced to it once you're inside. And
So Kevin keeps saying the bridge, and I'm gonna go back to this point. When we arrive at the house, you're gonna come down this driveway, and as you're coming down the driveway, we're gonna come past this massive stone wall that's going to gently guide us in, and we're going to start the ground's going to start falling away from us. We're going to walk through along a long bridge. How many feet long is that bridge from start to finish before you get to the front door?
I'm not sure. It is probably about 70 feet long or
Yeah,
something like
right.
that.
So as you're starting, you kind of come off the ground. You're going to continue for like 70 feet. As the ground actually drops away, be underneath you, you'll be walking above the ground level. And then you're going to arrive at the house, which is also a bridge. So the house is bridging from two pillars, one from the west side and one from the east side. The house is bridging right across. And so you're going to be walking as the ground falls away and the trees, it's got beautiful live oaks in the middle there. And then the view is going to be, you're going to be getting glimpses of the view under the house as well as through the house. And some of the things to note in this is, there's a very, very thin roof plane for this house. So it never dominates, never feels heavy. It feels like it's just light and letting you in. But cleverly, as the architects have done here, they've taken the view away from you a little as you come down this bridge as well, so that you've got glimpses, but then you're going to get it just removed from you, and then you get it revealed again as you come in. So take us from, we've gone down the bridge, gone through the front door, somewhere we're all going to leave our shoes. I'm not sure where that's going to be. And then in we go.
Should I switch to the more the kind of floor plan? I mean, it's worth saying actually about the not to dwell on the bridge forever, but the contractors who were wonderful partners on this have a beautiful video of them weaving the steel beams in between the existing
The
trees
trees, yeah.
because they were here and at some level one doesn't want to disturb these things. So maybe I'll stop sharing and put our larger plan up. Uh,
So this is the actual floor plan. And this,
it's
yeah,
there.
perfect.
So when it comes along that, you're already 14 feet in the air. This is a solid wall, a timber wall, and you turn, open the door. When you've been walking through, you get an idea that there's quite a view, but you don't really see it, and you get the view is reintroduced to you once you're inside the house
Yeah.
in all of its glory.
And then you're looking like you've got this full long view. Once you come inside here, one of the things that like is really magical about it is have a look for the ceiling change as you come through. And some of the I'm going to let you take us from here, Kevin, but the magic of once you're inside this space, you're going to have your kitchen and everything like that off to tucked around to the corner, but you're going to be in your main kind of living area. Check out the fireplace, the stone from the fireplace. Can you tell me about that stone? It's also the one, is it on the garage wall as well?
It is. So it's all the same stone there on the lower levels, the sort of anchorages and in the fireplace. And it's a stone that we cut on two sides rather than six sides. So it's sort of rusticated. And cutting it on the two sides allowed us to put in a very thin mortar joint. It's only an eighth of an inch, and the mortar is recessed. So you really just see the stone.
Yeah.
And less pattern, less anything. And it's really like a very powerful material presence. I think the two things that you were kind of hinting at that are worth just underlining is one, the house is set up as a series of experiences, like a cinematic condition
Mm-hmm.
where expectations are set up. You know there's a view, but then you make a discovery when you come in. Before that, you're given that view, you look back into a beautiful, lush courtyard, removed from the view. Then you come back and are reintroduced to it. And all the way through the house, it kind of draws you through, and hopefully then you make these sort of interesting new discoveries along the way. But the other thing is the house has always tried to set up so that we've tried to set it up so that individual is always in what an academic would call like the liminal position, like the position in between different things. So you're in between this incredible view of the city and the landscape. You're between that and a very lush and
Courtyard.
intimate, you know, and almost everywhere through the house, it's set up as like a one-room wide house where you're always between things. And I think in many ways, it's often the most interesting part of a building. It's when you're between two different conditions, you know, sitting in the bay window, you're half inside and half outside. And
Yes.
so we try to do that everywhere. And we try to define discrete rooms, like the living room has its own character, discrete from, for example, from the dining room, but we also
Yep.
try and connect it. It's not a great room. It's not one big loft, but it has incredible connections and incredible clear definitions that make it a coherent room. And that's the sort of contribution that I think is a little bit unusual.
I 100% agree. That's the part that when you in the house, take a moment to discover how that feels for you. One of the other things is that in that main living room is that it's all fully acoustically treated for like performance, for like sound because of the musicians in the family. And
Yeah, their children and their daughter and son-in-law are local musicians, and it's a big part of their life. And this house was set up to have some small concerts here and big concerts on the lawn outside. And they've had their first one, and I was there for, and the musicians were telling me how incredible the room sounded. It was well thought about for acoustics.
Well, this is a challenge, of course, in architecture, especially modern architecture, where you've got large panels of glass and you've got a number of hard surfaces. And some of the things that you do here that people are going to discover is like the fabric wall. And then also that ceiling that runs all the way through from the dining room and all the way through the living room is, slatted and all acoustically treated so that it's allowing the music to be in this space without it just reverberating off all the glass.
Because we have the two glass
Yeah.
pane walls that are slightly off angle, which helps. And then this fabric wall that's got an unusual angle too that absorbs sound, but the ceiling is doing an awful lot to try and absorb the sound. In between the slats, there's acoustic material and because one doesn't want a dead room, but a
No.
room that echoes isn't good either. So a room that feels alive and doesn't reverberate, in a problematic way is a hard thing to do. And it was really important to them. So we spent a lot of time making sure we tuned the room so it would feel good acoustically as well as spatially, as
Yeah.
well as materially. And,
This,
and architects
I,
do that. We have the ability to consider things from many perspectives. And it's nice to have a client that appreciates and desires that kind of carefulness.
I 100% agree. Like the fact is that these are the things that you'd never understand unless you were actually explained to in the house. But you will get the feeling of that, the way the sound's working so well, and you could easily make a comparison by being in other homes where it doesn't work as well. Take me on the journey. So this is one journey that people are going to experience as they come in. If you were the owner of this house, though, you would journey from the garage because you would drive in, and then how did you create like equally as a special journey for them as they came into the home through the traditional entrance that the owner will come through?
So glad you asked that question because it is one of these things that drives me crazy about many very handsome and thoughtfully designed houses in Austin where people will walk up the driveway to get to the front door, which seems a little ignoble to me.
Yeah.
So in this case, we had the room sometimes you have to do that. But in this case, they had enough property so that we could take the car away long before the entry. And it's true that as much as the bridge entry is a really lovely condition, and they will use that if they're coming home and leaving their car in the driveway. But most of the time they come and they park in the garage. And we wanted that to be equally interesting. So there's a big mudroom and a back door, that will have everything from like sports equipment for the grandkids and to
Yep.
like where they leave their bags and chargings and things. And then there's this beautiful little second upstairs courtyard with a hole in the roof and an incredible Japanese
The,
maple with this screen, and it's like a moment of contemplation, like a decompression moment where you come, there's a bench, you take your shoes off, you put your house shoes on, and it's just a moment to decompress before you enter. And then this sort of handsome walkway with a powder bath and an elevator to go down into the kind of workings of the house. The public part of the house really is all of this. And if it,
all through that southern side. And
yeah,
but
so
as you come down, as you say, like you come out of the garage and you come through this lovely transition moment, like really beautiful transition moment. But your long view is actually taking you all the way down over the long view to the city.
it is, and I feel like we are always trying to get multiple views. So there are these incredible things where when it was coming here, you see through the house in many ways, but you're also looking into the courtyard,
Yeah,
or this, which is like
the
was
western
completely
view.
unexpected. You know, I mean, the West Sun is killer in Austin,
Uh-huh.
and you know, but it's also really beautiful. So you know, we have blinds and we have ways to control it, but it's really nice to not just turn entirely away from it and see the sun, these crazy beautiful sunsets too. And there's an enormous window here that's like a framed view as opposed to a floor to ceiling glass that,
Right.
you know, turns the corner with glass corners and things. This is a view that one comes in and it's a framed view of this hillside, which is equally interesting, just different.
And
Um,
you can be like have basically the courtyard, the main entry courtyard to your back as you're on one side while you're looking at your framed view, as you say, all those beautiful western sunsets out through the other side. So you're in touch again, a single room house, like single width house. You're in touch on either side with this piece of landscape coming up around you.
right, and up and down as well. So when it comes
Yeah,
into a house with a kind of, you know, flat roof, it's unexpected to have a hole cut out of it and see up to the sky,
yeah.
or to see this is a stair going down. And you know, when you come in here, you see down because the ground has dropped a full story here to this sort of quite grand condition of a great big porch under the whole house. And so the house is kind of directing your eye horizontally into the landscape, but also up into the sky or down into this other kind of lush world. And it's a more complex version of like an in between position where
Hmm.
one is caught between these all very beautiful conditions. I mean, there are different ways in which people think about architecture, but I feel like there are those architects that like to design beautiful objects. Frank Gehry, whatever,
Yeah.
traditional buildings are often like that. But I feel like we are more inclined to try and define, locate, identify really compelling landscape conditions and to place the buildings in between them so that one can always appreciate bring you very close to all of them. And then depending on your kind of position in the house, you get more engaged with one than another.
I think that's a really beautiful way of looking at this house. You know, from the outside looking, or sorry, from the inside looking out, is this house is taking in all the pieces of the landscape. It it's integral to the overall design, how the landscape falls away from the house and the way you come into the house. So as you're journeying through the home, take a moment to go all the way down to where the garage is and take that journey as if you were the owner and see what it opens up to you. You know, take a pause where you could take your shoes off kind of area, this little transition zone. And don't forget to look to the west through the screened courtyard. Look out to the other side as we come down into the main big courtyard. And then that western that the main courtyard will probably take your eye, but then make sure you look west again and imagine that at sunset. Or if you're lucky enough to be the last people in the home on the weekend, take in the sunset because it'll probably just about be there. The other thing that's really beautiful and unique about this house is whilst we're elevated, we've got these incredible outdoor areas. And take me through putting these outdoor terraces, but also I want to say the eclipse hole, the eclipse roof as well.
Yeah. So that, you know, we often do these things where we have a dominant roof plane and we spend a lot of time making that very abstract, kind of collecting lights in ways that they don't interrupt the feel of this beautiful ceiling that reflects the light and things like that. But then we'll open it up. So that's a hole to the sky that lets the tree thrive and brings the rain in, but also becomes this lovely contemplation spot that works both for like where you put your shoes on, but also that's a little home office desk that they don't see each other per se, but it's a kind of moment where one pays one bills and has some kind of quiet time. There are other ones like this, which is has this incredible view of the city, but then there's a hole in the ceiling. And Adrian was referring to the eclipse because they had a little eclipse party out here when the full eclipse of the sun came through Austin. And there's a photograph. I should print it out for the.
You should do. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's the project manager, the contractor, and her family all wearing the solar eclipse glasses, sitting in the chairs, looking through the hole in the roof
Yeah.
at the eclipse of the sun, and it's just incredible. You know, I tease the owners now that we designed that hole just to catch the eclipse, but you know, it's like you design things that are compelling to let the sky into the building, and they find other compelling uses. One of the things that was unexpected but so beautiful is if one is there and it's raining, the way the rain comes into that spot, it's like you see the shape of the rain. You know, it's like
Wow.
it's a kind of column of
Yeah.
rain through the middle of your house, which is kind of amazing. So there are outside spaces. One of the ways you can know this was a house not made speculatively, i.e., like to sell, is that there are a lot of these constructed outside spaces that are similar in cost to a living room. I mean, this is
Yeah.
built in some ways it's more expensive because there's a roof under the ground and things like that under the floorboards, but it allows them to live so generously to be able to be up with the view in the breeze and have these outside spaces adjacent to the interior ones.
It,
There's another one, if I go to the lower level, where this is under that living space, the
yeah.
bridge that it was talking about. This is a huge area where the landscape tumbles through, sort of natural
It's like
cultivated
you're
landscape.
able to walk down the hillside and into, through more house, but the house has no walls. That's
You
what's so
are. In fact,
beautiful about it.
if they have a pool party, people will come and park in the circle, come down the exterior stairs that were very beautifully landscaped by the landscape architect, and down here, and then directly to the pool and the outside kitchen and this very large covered area that's always in a breeze, like you said. So
Hmm.
it's a kind of the house invites different ways to live in it and occupy it that
So
way.
that would be a really cool thing to do. So say you've come to the home and you walk across this main, sort of 70-foot long bridge that takes you into the property to the top level. And that's one experience. Before you leave the house, you'll probably go down the stairs that internally connect you to the home, to the downstairs. But if you've got a moment and you've still got time, go back out along the big long bridge, or yeah, the garage will probably be closed. So go back out along the big long bridge and then come down that as if you're coming to the pool party. Come down through the landscape and let yourself walk under the house. And there's some wonderful features as you're walking down under there, just with how it was from construction point of view, but beyond construction, how it was designed to have this elevated bridged home running from an east-west block and then taking the weight out of that. Check out the spa pool. Check out how it looks across the pool. Check out how the grass and everything is right up by the pool so that it's really put into the landscape as opposed to it dominating the landscape. It just falls together with it, but in a beautiful, modern, simple way.
We worked with a really wonderful landscape architect on this project, and the landscape and the architecture are indeed it together. And I know a lot of people say those kind of things, but this is one where they really were integrated
Yeah,
very kind of carefully. And
yeah.
it was the results were I think special.
I th Obviously special, no doubt about that. What it is it's so thoughtful to get you to that stage. And the downstairs you'll get to see there's a number of bedrooms down there. It's another house downstairs. And we haven't even talked about, like the main suite in this home. Because upstairs in its current format, even though it's designed to be able to be shifted later, is really a single bedroom home.
It is. I mean, it's a retired couple. Their master is here. It has a very handsome master bath, then master closet, a second bath for the master. and a couple of offices. But at some level, when this is inherited by the children, they might have their master here, and those become two children's bedrooms with using that bathroom. I mean, it's set up where all of this is public space
Yeah.
and for entertaining, for them living there, all of those kind of things. And there's a kind of pretty clear separation in plan without having to
You,
have a sign or a closed door that suggests this is a different kind of realm.
absolutely. It's bridged away again because it's between the eclipse terrace and then the staircases and stuff that take you down from the landscaping on the outside underneath. So it's magical. It's magical. It's beautiful work.
And the end, like some of the walls, like they get very thin, or that's curved. That helps, the visitor sort of intuitively understand that this is part of the area that one is meant to kind of circulate around. But
Yes.
this stone wall has a more significant break spatially, and mouse is working so well. So the that's better, yeah. So that I think intuitively one learns like this is sort of about where you stop if you're not part of the
And
family.
and and the slight narrowing of the space as you come along there as well, that wall just protrudes in slightly. These are little details that as you're going through the home, just stop,
Yeah.
take a moment, have a look at what it is, and try and take on the feeling of what the architecture is telling you to respond, or how it's guiding you to respond in the home.
Has a beautiful like the I don't think they ever shut this door, but there's a floor to ceiling kind of wall panel that kind of closes here if they want. If they want privacy,
Right.
something party and someone wants to go to bed early. But most of the time it's just spatially distinct enough so it remains private.
Yeah.
And this will open in the tour, so you'll get to see the whole house. But typically, a visitor would probably stop at that point and not see all of this. And every room is considered carefully. Like the master or primary bedroom is a better term for that. Is set up here with a cozy fireplace and a beautiful view, but it's not an enormous room
Yeah.
in large part because we want the view, which is the best view of the house, really, of the city, to come through there. And then all of the things like the primary bath, the primary closet, all happen behind, so you're
Yeah.
not distracted with doors and things like that. And
Yeah.
it's kind of meant to encourage that feeling of both intimacy and expansiveness without all the kind of complexity of closets and bathrooms and things.
100%. I think one of the things to do is also when you're in the home, depending on what time of day that you come and visit, it will be quite different. But the way the light's going to fall into the space, so if you're there in the morning, you're more likely to get a lot of sun against the back wall of the garage and all the stonework as you come up. If you're there in the afternoon, that's going to be more shaded, but then the light's going to be pouring through towards the kitchen zone. And so the house is going to be one of many moods. Obviously, the big view is going to take your breath away, which it will do, there's no doubt. Take pause and go and discover and imagine it in different times. It's interesting, Kevin was saying to me that the owners of this home, when they first ever met him, they were at another house he'd done, and they came back like 3 or 4 times during that tour to experience the house because they were so intrigued by it, which ultimately ended up in the commissioning of this home. The other thing that I think is really fabulous about this home is being designed as a legacy home on a legacy piece of land. They want this to go on well past their lifetimes and probably past their children's lifetimes and into their grandchildren's and on as a family legacy piece of architecture and land, which is, again, take that weight of that idea when you're arriving at the home that these people have got a vision of this thing for hundreds of years, not just a moment in time.
It was a real conversation with them that they wanted to build a house that, because they know the property is valuable and
Yeah,
that would be loved and substantial enough so that it would be maintained. And it's not a small house, but it's not enormous. And for a piece of property this size is pretty modest. But it's like that it was lovely to be invited to be part of this enterprise about how to make this a place that's so special that they will want to keep it for generations, as you say. And that's a privilege. One of the great privileges of being in the architectural world is to be involved with those kind of optimistic and long planning like
yeah,
memories.
for sure.
It's worth saying that they were, I mean, the contractor was very good, is very good. They're trained architects as well, and we had a lovely partnership with them. But we had the opportunity with this house to do things to build very, very well. Like there's an exquisite
Yeah.
set of drawings. It's a very carefully made building. We were talking earlier about like if you're composing a piece of music for a philharmonic, you can expect great musicians. Like we could expect great craftspeople, and they really like went above and beyond. And it's a beautifully made and detailed house. So that allows it, it gives it a kind of elevated condition as well.
100%. And that is a good point to take pause and look at the craftsmanship in the detailing, not just the detailing from the architectural side, but the execution of the detailing from the contractor side. That's going to be at a next level as well. Kevin, fantastic work. Can't wait to be in this home. Really, really looking forward to it. I'm a bit upset that I'm not going to be there for the eclipse, but I'll have to suffice with the photograph or come back for another eclipse. Yeah. Can you arrange one?
You know, I can't, but we'll ask the clients if they can. But
Yeah,
I'm sure you
totally.
for the next one.
No, absolutely fabulous. Looking forward to seeing you on the tour. Kevin, you'll be at home fairly a fair bit of the time over the weekend.
I will try and be there as much as I can. It's, you know, this is like a kind of pay it forward thing. It's unusual for after the pandemic, we were apprehensive to put a home on the tour for a bit for obvious reasons. Where, you know, we don't want to endanger our clients. Things seem to have changed. But this is the kind of home where, you know, they might not ordinarily open it to lots of
Yeah.
people they don't know. But, you know, having learned about the possibilities of architecture through the tour many years ago now, they were generous in paying it forward and feeling like it would be nice to share it with folks. And so it's a privilege for us to get to share the work. We were talking earlier that we have a wonderful photographer who's photographed the house, but I think the house is better than photographs, and it's
Yeah.
nice to be able to share it in three dimensions, in time over the course of the day,
Yeah.
and I think
I think one of the crimes of this house is that you probably have to miss two or three other homes if you wanted to see this in all its moods. Um, you
well, if you want
know,
to stay there the whole weekend,
yeah,
yeah, probably. But
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
sure like, on the tour too. Uh, I don't know everything that's on the tour. I'm sure there are beautiful buildings.
There
Austin
are.
is a many very good architects, um, and I think
Oh, look,
the
I've seen all the photos of all the homes that are going to be on the tour, and there are some, they're all very worthy. And that's one of the great things about the Austin Homes tour is that all the houses are very worthy. And the pile of houses that didn't make it in were equally as worthy as the ones that did. It's
I
like,
know that
it's
we have a
incredible.
real very good architects in Austin, and I think the Homes Tour has been a big part of encouraging kind of raising of quality
Yeah.
in the city. I mean, it's what do they say about all boats rise together when the
Yeah.
tide rises? I feel like part of it is exposing good homes to more people. They get to see them and desire them, and the clients drive it. I mean, at some level, there's no sense in doing all of this work and putting all this effort and money into something if it's not important to you as a homeowner.
A
And I think
hundred
this
percent.
opportunity for people to see the possibilities that architecture might bring to your family. And on the tour, it happens at a whole variety of different budgets. And
Yes.
I think, you know,
I
and
think that's what's magic about it. So on the homes tour, make sure you take this home in, go and meet Kevin while you're there, see if you can find him. He's probably got a queue of people around him or a crowd of people around him. He's very generous, and go and enjoy this home. Feel it, because it's a home that you should feel. Kevin, thanks for joining me.
it's a pleasure. It's nice to see you again. We'll look forward to seeing you in a few months' time.
100%, man. See you then. Casey, this home, City Park, Alta Studio, Kevin Alta, well known for this style of architecture where it's, you know, modern and very simple. This is an
Hmm.
amazing setting. And with this setting, it looks down over the Pennybacker Bridge, so down the lake. And the house is
Hmm.
sort of out on a bit of a peninsula as it looks out that way. Tell me about the experience of this home.
This home is it's just beautiful. You pull up and when you arrive on site, it looks very kind of wide and low. And then Alter Studio did such, an impressive job working with the land, and there was a slope that goes down, which they incorporated. I'm going to share a photo.
Okay, cool.
Um, that is just kind of a taste of the exterior view.
So one of the things that this house has is also it has like about a maybe about a 70-foot bridge that you walk into the house on as you
Yes,
enter
and you
the
can see
house.
that a bit on the right here. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And the land just kind of flows underneath it, and then it creates where this living space it's almost like it's floating. The views that are out these windows beyond the house are amazing. You have the river, you have the Pennybacker Bridge, you actually have all of downtown. Um, and so the views are just incredible. But yes, the way it embraced, and even this patio,
The lower
sitting
patio,
area,
the
this
sitting
kitchen,
area.
the lower
Yeah.
patio, the pool and the sitting area and the outdoor kitchen. I mean, we were there in June in Texas. It was very hot, but there were even breezes that came through, and
Uh-huh.
working with the team that designed the house. And that's exactly what they were working with and designing for. So I love how much it embraces the space. It's incredibly impressive. The design is impressive. The detail and finish out, the work that
Mm.
was done on the house, everything is just immaculate. But it's a beautiful space. You can't not be awed by this space. I think people are going to really love it. There's one of the Oculus that you can see here
Yes.
that's over an upper outdoor sitting area, and the other is so lovely. It's a tease, but you will see it in other places. But
One
yeah,
one of the
it's an
things,
extremely impressive space.
yeah, older studios architecture, they often use these oculuses that open up big roof
Hmm.
spaces. And
Hmm.
they've really nailed how to open up a roof space and make it look incredibly beautiful with the
Hmm.
soft wrapping of the
Hmm.
space into the roof line. And then the way it brings light into a space is
Yes.
really, yeah, is really
And
critical.
the way that that light moves through the day,
Mm.
as the sun moves across, and what's in light plays. And it was really lovely, the light, the afternoon light of this Oculus, and the way
Yeah.
it came down that stairway that's on the left, created these wonderful, interesting lines and shadows. And yeah.
And this
Yeah.
house has it's kind of like two anchor blocks with a bridge
Yes.
that the house is basically in the bridge. And the home is also like often used for musical events because of the owners, one of their family is or one of the couples in their family are musicians, and so the house
Yes.
was designed around that, so it was acoustically
Yes.
treated to also do this. But you've got these
Yes.
walls of glass and massive views. And as you said, that the level of finishing and stuff is at the highest of levels.
Yeah. The detailing is just really, really special.
So in here, tell me what it feels like to be in here in this home.
How does it feel? It feels kind of magical. I mean, I not it feels, it's just so lovely and so open. And you are separated from, you are, isolated to some degree. But the landscape and the trees, and in the day, it feels very, it's just so green and vibrant, but you have this connection to the city
Hmm.
with the downtown view and with the bridge. I mean, it feels extremely set in Austin because, you know, those visuals that I'm so used to seeing.
Yeah.
So it's really special to move through and have that, you know, constant presence of the city there, but yet feeling like you're in, you know, this natural space as well.
And if you had to have a favorite space, I'd love you to
Mm-hmm.
do it from the outside as well. A favorite, well,
Mm-hmm.
a favorite space inside and a favorite space outside. Because I know when I was looking through the photographs, I was intrigued by the bridge and the fact that,
Yes.
yeah, that you really transition and journey from wherever you come from in this house, whether you're a guest or whether you're actually the owners of the home and you may enter through the garage. There's a real transition and journey in it.
Mm-hmm. So this is the frontal view, like from the
Uh-huh.
driveway of the
Yeah.
house. And it has, you know, really lovely lines and all of the trees and landscaping. But yes, there's this bridge that comes down here, down this right side. And you don't really realize how much the land falls away from this perspective. And I feel like it's a treat as you get closer and closer and then walk down this bridge. And then you can see more like the photo that I was showing a minute ago. You see all of this space opening up underneath you and this glass walkway. You even have some downtown buildings
Yeah.
through the house in this photo, but it is such a special entryway and the house just opens up to you as you get closer to that door. And then I
Oh,
think just being in this, oh, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say it really reveals itself, but you only get that
It really
reveal
does.
as you experience it.
Yes, as you get closer.
Yeah.
And then the living space, which is in this, you know, glass area, and it's just
Mhm.
glass on both sides. You have the front area with all of this like beautiful landscaping and the trees, and then the back has a lovely lawn that again opens up into the view. And you know, spending time in there would be really, really lovely. That's got to be my favorite place in this house.
Yeah, right. I love it. I love it. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that.
A designer is only as good as the projects you can win, and life is far too short to be consistently winning mediocre projects. So if you want to get yourself out of the rat race and start winning high-value projects for high-value clients, that's people who appreciate great design, go to my website, archmarketing.org, and download some of the free tools and resources and start winning decent high-value projects consistently. That's archmarketing.org, and help yourself to whatever you can find.